the way Gucci came home, you know, I took notes from there, like how he switched it up. That motivated me to move how I'm moving like toward today too. So we got a lot of the similar traits because I realized that he woke up when he was in there. Another thing he told me too, Shiesty, you 20 years old going to go see what I saw at 35 years old. You got a head start. You got to get this out the way early. It could have been too late for me if I wouldn't ever came out and played it right. So take advantage of that too. That stuck with me.
So as you guys know, Gucci Mane's 2026 started off by him getting robbed by his biggest artist. The world is in shambles, and things are only getting stranger in this entire situation. For starters, many people are taking it way back to the days of 2016, when the world was questioning, is Gucci Mane a clone? It wasn't just how he acted, which was great. It was definitely a positive step in the right direction, but there were like physical aspects of his appearance that just straight up did not look like the old Gucci Mane.
I study rap
Aholics
for a living.
You know that live streamer there, Clavicular, who smashes his face and shoots meth just to get a sharper jawline? Yeah, back in the day, it literally looked like Gucci Mane went under one of those looks maxing operations. The beer belly was gone. His face was a whole other shape. Anyways, I bring this up to say, we've come a long way from the Gucci Mane that was dominating the mixtape scene, the Atlanta trap scene back in the mid-2000s. He's allegedly getting robbed by artists in 2026, but back in like 2006, he wanted to be a part of BMF, and they literally told him he couldn't be a part of the gang because he himself was robbing too much.
Shit have done me and be so anti-social with me. And now I ain't fucking with Gucci because I already robbed. It's just like Blue Dimension. But I wanted to be BMF so bad back in the day. I'm gonna be real. Yes, J-Boy and me told me, yeah, we gotta get you in. Too gangster. Keep the scrap. Get what the nigga Blue said, man. That's why I fought him to the day. Yeah, I just had to sit down about you. Yeah, we ain't gonna let you in. Yeah, I be robbing too much. But we fought with you, know, we just smashed them for you, because they did. Damn near crushed them. But at the same time, we can't let you in, dog. Yeah, you be robbing too much. I ain't even made robbing my black teeth. Bro, we got them along, we keep footage, you ain't gonna try her. I said, bro, what you talking about? He said, bro, every time I see you, you got an airbrush shirt on.
There were several stories of Gucci Mane robbing artists, promoters. Nobody was safe back in the day.
The goddamn Gucci Mane, man. Tell us a little bit about what happened with Gucci Mane and your interaction with him, man.
They had him out in Chicago for a series of events, right? According to the guys who had booked him, this was right before he had went to jail, because he was getting wild with the world for a little while, you feel me? So this was right before he had went to jail, so they was coming to get him from his hotel, and apparently he had asked for his whole payment beforehand. So he got all the money, they were ready to pick him up, take him to the venue. And he told him he wasn't going. You feel me? He barricaded himself in the hotel. Other security dudes get to calling me, promoters calling me, man, bro, we need you to help us get Gucci out of this hotel room. I'm like, where's he at? They give me the location. I'm like, so what's the situation? They break it down to me. They really just want to get their money back. I'm like, okay, well, y'all call him. He ain't answering the phone, etc. He's trying to wait us out. So what y'all want me to do? I want you to go to the hotel room and get him out of there. I'm like, what? He gonna smoke us? Like, what are y'all talking about? Like, bro, they was adamant about it, bro. They had other bodyguards calling me, the promoters offering me money and all type of stuff. I'm just looking like, man, y'all want me to, this man already went to jail for murder, man. Like, we obviously off the molly right now, tripping with everybody. So, like, he was on it, bro. He had a fight with a guy at Forest City Mall earlier that day. I'm like, damn, Gucci in the mall fighting? Then he barricaded himself in that room. Shit, he left with that money, man. Just know he drove to Chicago. Had a Hummer on some big ass rims. He drove that. I said, he drove that from Atlanta? I say, oh yeah, he wilding right now. Gucci lit right now. Yeah, that was a crazy experience right there.
Now, it wasn't just promoters. Even as recently as November of 2025, Gucci Mane's first female artist, Mac Breezy, had done an interview where she said that she was used by Gucci Mane and never got the money she deserved for the work that she did with him.
As far as like the music, all I ever asked for was my credit for what I contributed to the songs. So all the songs that I wrote hooks and verses on, I should be entitled to the percentages for what I contributed to those records. What did I do to deserve this? I don't even care what people got to say. I'm just trying to get my story out. I want the truth to be out because they don't know. They just fans. These folks don't know. They wasn't there. They don't know what happened to me. And nobody speaking out. Nobody been taking up for me. All my celebrity industry friends who I thought, well, you ain't got no friends in the industry. That nigga stole my ideals. He felt like he used me and he discarded me.
Now, I think this particular situation is very interesting because it definitely foreshadowed a lot of what we'd see with the whole Pooh Shiesty situation, right? We don't know for sure what Pooh's motive was to rob Gucci Mane to get out of his contract, but we know for a fact he wanted out of that deal. To me, the saddest part of this entire thing is that his own father was right there next to him thinking that this was the right way to actually get Pooh to be a free agent. I mean, even in the complaint, it says that Pooh had asked his father, like, as he had Gucci Mane at gunpoint, allegedly, does this contract look perfect? Like, what Gucci Mane signed, will that let me out of my deal with 1017 Records? And the dad even told him, like, no, he needs to sign the date on the contract. As if signing the date is going to magically erase the fact that Gucci Mane was signing this thing while being held at gunpoint, right? Obviously, that contract will be null and void. But I digress. Whether it was Yo Gotti that Pooh Shiesty wanted to sign to, or maybe he just wanted to be a free agent in general, it paints an interesting picture in terms of how Gucci Mane has been treating his artists. And ever since this situation transpired, a lot more of Gucci's artists have now spoken up. A couple of years ago, Gucci Mane had started the new 1017 record label. He signed a bunch of artists out of Memphis, not just Pooh Shiesty. And by the way, I did a whole breakdown on the history of Yo Gotti, Gucci Mane, how Pooh Shiesty is kind of interconnected there and how it led up to the point where Pooh Shiesty is now robbing Gucci Mane. So I'll leave a link to that video in the description. But now we're seeing the after effects of that situation because Gucci Mane signed this whole new roster, the new 1017. But by around 2024, he actually announced that he would be dropping everyone from the label except for Pooh Shiesty. It almost seemed like Gucci may have been subliminally kind of taunting Pooh in this video, letting him know, like, hey, all these other guys, they're allowed to get out the deal, but you're successful. I need to keep on to you because you're my cash cow, right? Like the way he's talking about all his artists here and how disposable they are, it's just a little bit kind of strange. Maybe I'm wrong here, though.
You know, it's almost like a whole show in the industry right now, but when I look at my P&L and me being a businessman, I think that I'm gonna have to release almost all my artists except for Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano. This is a decision I didn't want to make. I thought about it, you know what I'm saying? I could keep all of them under the contract, but I said, hey, fuck it. Let's just make the unselfish decision and, let them take their talents elsewhere. So today, you know what I'm saying, I already reached out to all of my artists, you know what I'm saying, to their lawyers and whatever, and let them know that they're free to take their talents elsewhere. And I'm still looking for new talent to pair up with, you know what I'm saying, Pooh and Fu, and that's where I'm gonna put my focus, and I just wish them the best.
So now at this point in time, a lot of the artists who had got dropped when Gucci Mane first made that video, they're now speaking up ever since Pooh Shiesty held Gucci Mane at gunpoint to try and get out of his record contract. So KB Goes Live, he did a good breakdown on this entire situation. We're going to take a look at everything the 1017 former artist had said about Gucci and break down how this rabbit hole and entire situation could have a very dark effect on not just Pooh Shiesty himself, but also Gucci Mane, even though he is the victim here.
Always read your paperwork, whether it's a contract you're signing, an employment agreement that you're signing, a lease for something that you're signing. The number one thing that you should do is always read what you're signing and understand what it is that you're putting your signature on. This is something that has been made excessively clear over the years, but especially during this whole Gucci Mane, Pooh Shiesty situation that's going on. If there's one thing that this whole situation exposed, it's that you should always be reading the paperwork you put your signature on. I know it sounds like common sense, but it's starting to seem like it might not be so common because ever since this whole situation went down, former 1017 artists have been coming out of the woodworks to expose Gucci Mane and talk about the whole label situation over there at 1017, right? Because this whole Pooh Shiesty situation happened because Pooh Shiesty wanted out of his contract. And now it seems like every disgruntled 1017 employee is going online and making videos talking about this situation and how unhappy they were with everything.
Now, this is a story as old as time, you guys, because a lot of people, when they sign to a famous rapper or a rapper-owned record label, they think they're signing to a friend, right? They think they're signing to someone who is looking to take on more of like an A&R or a mentorship type of role rather than a businessman type of role. The difference is that when you're the owner of a company or a business, you're looking to turn a profit, right? Like that's the objective of running a business. Now, there's certain instances, like, let's say, Drake with Lil Wayne and Nicki Minaj, where it almost seemed like he was really trying to build an empire that he was the direct puppeteer over, right? Like, that he orchestrated, that he had a hand in every kind of move that they were making. But then above him was Cash Money, right? You had Birdman, who didn't necessarily seem like the creative visionary, but more so the guy bringing the capital forward, funding the projects, sometimes even shelving the projects, right? Like in Tyga's case, he couldn't release his album for several years because I guess Cash Money thought that it wouldn't sell well, so they would just put it to the side. Like, he was the business behind the entire operation. Lil Wayne was more of the creative genius, right?
Oh, Lil Wayne's just too good. Oh, Lil Wayne's just too good.
And when you think of all the former Cash Money artists and who they have had issues with over money, it's always Birdman. It's never Lil Wayne, right? When Tyga was calling out the label on Twitter, he wasn't calling out Lil Wayne. He had no hard feelings over Wayne. It was all over Birdman and Cash Money, right? So a lot of times when an artist signs to another artist, they think that's how it's going to go, right? But you have to remember, Gucci Mane, I believe he's like 50 years old already at this point. He's old. So when he started that new 1017, I don't know if they thought they'd be like the next OJ the Juice Man, Waka Flocka Flame, where they would be like right next to Gucci all the time, dropping all these tapes with him and like actually being like a real friend to Gucci.
Cap.
But there's a whole generation gap by this point in time. Gucci Mane is 2 decades older than a lot of the artists he's signing. This was a business for him. So, I mean, instead of pointing a gun at him trying to get out of your contract, you probably need to deeply assess these contracts before you even sign them in the first place. And now, of course, I mean, the irony is that once the negative light is painted onto Gucci Mane for, you know, how bad of a CEO could you be that your own artist wants to rob you at gunpoint just to get out of his contract? Now everyone comes out of the woodworks to start, you know, giving their detail of the story and crapping on Gucci, right? Like, isn't it funny that you didn't hear about these people ranting about Gucci Mane and how bad the business was over at 1017 before the situation goes down, but now here we are.
So today we're going to take a look at 2 artists that have come out, made videos talking about the 1017 Gucci Mane Pooh Shiesty situation. Right, one artist named Roboy and the other one named K Shade. And both of their videos kind of add context to the situation. It kind of explains why Pooh Shiesty was so frustrated to the point that he wanted to kidnap Gucci Mane to get out of his contract, right? And Roboy is basically painting Gucci Mane like he played favorites on the label. He signed a bunch of people and then he only had 1 or 2 artists that he really cared about. Everybody else got pushed to the sidelines and got shelved. And then K Shade is more so saying people are missing like a deeper issue, which is that nobody felt respected on the label, right? So let's start with Roboy first.
Look, here's my thoughts on the situation, right? It's just so funny to me, like, cause this whole time, like, motherfucker just been running with the narrative, like, a nigga just got dropped, or a nigga wasn't good enough, or I wasn't working hard enough, or anyone even that, bruh. It was just motherfucker was signed to went handling the business how they were supposed to. Now I take for a situation like this to happen, for a motherfucker to be like, oh, okay, maybe it's some merit to what bro was. Nah, man, stay all ass over there, bro. And to walk, that what your ass get. Doing all that dick riding, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, you feel me? Bro was hot, you feel me? You gotta run with your hot hand, but you was showing favoritism, doing little dick riding shit. A lot of little whole shit nigga was doing, and you ride your bitch ass. Free shites, man.
Now, it's interesting he words it as, like, showing favoritism just because, I mean, you guys saw the clip before, right? Gucci Mane had announced he was dropping all of these artists off 1017 and he was only keeping Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano. So I guess you could say, like, that's favoritism. But, again, he's a CEO, right? Like, the whole point of running this record label is to turn that profit, to get artists that are going to be hot in the long run. And once you strike gold, you got to show that favoritism. You got to invest in what looks to be the most profitable asset within your company, which in Gucci Mane's case was, of course, Pooh Shiesty.
Let me tell you how that happened before, right? So we at the studio, we in the A. We at QC Studios. So it's Baby, Bankroll, Freddie, QCP, Quay, cut that shit up. Quay, we all in the studio with Wak, right? So I just made some hard ass shit. Feel me? I make a hard ass song. So we in this Bankroll Freddie been trying to get on the song the whole time. Wak wouldn't let him. I'm still trying to figure out, like, damn, why you ain't gonna let it? Like, this gonna boost my career. So Baby vibing to the song, like, Baby, like, Man, like, who the fuck this is? Man, don't you know this? Walk, get up from the back of the studio, jump, run to the front, turn my music off, and put on Shiesty, bro. Huh? Like, turn on the Shiesty song. I'm like, whoa, like, what the fuck? Like, cuz, like, this could have been like a life-changing feature, and he did that shit. And now that same rod, this
Now, I ain't gonna lie, I believe what Road Boy is saying. That sound like a true story, the whole situation when they was at the QC studio and Gucci Mane turned his music off, and how he was saying that Gucci Mane really only wanted to push the artist that was already popping, right? It does sound believable, especially when you take into account at one point there was a video of Gucci Mane saying that he was gonna drop everybody on a label and only keep Pooh Shiesty and Fujiano.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a snake move, right? Like, if your own artist is in there, he's hungry for a shot, and even if you know that you're probably going to drop him, so, like, you're not looking to really invest in having him do these features, to cut his music off just to start playing Pooh Shiesty's music is crazy. But again, this is the mind of a capitalist. This is the mind of a CEO. Can you fault him for that? Not if you're the one who signed that dotted line, who signed that contract, right? The thing is, like, there's two paths you can take, right? And this is for anything in business, in life, in general. You can go work at a company, but then you gotta expect that that company is paying you a salary. If you're not providing them a performance they feel is worth that salary, then they don't owe you anything. Even if they act like they're your friend, or they promised you a dream, or they didn't train you enough. Like, yeah, it's a grim outlook to have, but this is just the reality, right? The other path you could take is the independent route, right? Building your own skill set on your own, teaching yourself the things that will be essential to either provide value to a company or to start your own business. And in the case of a musician, you have all these social media tools to be able to market yourself and get your music heard. You have all these different, software production applications where you can record your own vocals from the comfort of your house for a very cheap fee. Get your music good enough to the point where it's impossible to ignore you, where you have these labels banging on your door begging you to come sign. Instead of signing to someone who you might have looked up to, 10 years ago, you might have looked up to Gucci, but he doesn't owe you anything, right? Like, the same way you're almost looking for a favor from him, either mentorship or just like the spotlight or clout of being his artist, he's also looking for something from you, right? It's a transaction. He's looking for value from you. So to come and complain after the fact when, again, you still, the internet still exists, you still got all these tools to go out and make a name for yourself. Yeah, it sounds like Gucci did some snake stuff, but like a lot of capitalists are snakes in the end, right? So if you're going to play that game, you got to expect for this snake stuff to happen.
I study
snake stuff
for a living.
Where it would get tricky is if this artist started complaining about Gucci Mane actually stealing money from him. I mean, again, to bring up that Birdman Cash Money example that we were talking about before, a lot of the artists, the former Hot Boys, Juvenile, Turk, etc., like, they had very valid cases for, their contracts were a bit messed up, but Birdman was literally just not paying them what he legally owed them. That's a whole different story than what I'm talking about with the Gucci Mane stuff. Because this artist here, he just sounds like he's mad that Gucci Mane saw more potential in Pooh Shiesty, so he put all his assets and all his favoritism towards Pooh. Which, again, that's the cost of doing business. Is it snake? Yeah. But when the independent path as an artist is this viable in 2026, you can't really complain about being signed to a major label and a massive rapper, and for him to not, put his blood, sweat, and tears into your career. Why does he owe you that?
Being mad because you got shelved or you had opportunities taken away from you and given to other artists. I mean, while I'm sure that hurts the ego, that's pretty much the way it's going to work at any record label. Every record label on earth is going to push their most popular artist first. I don't feel like this is Gucci Mane specific. I feel like this is the experience that you are going to have as a small artist getting signed to any label anywhere. I noticed he talk a lot about the opportunity that was taken away from him, but you don't never hear him talking about the opportunity that was given to him. You don't hear him talking about the advance that he was given, any type of promo that he did receive while he was signed to the label, and he was eventually dropped from the label, right? But him, Pooh Shiesty, this other chick in this video we're about to watch, Case today, they all had the same problem. They was mad about their record contract, their deal that they signed with Gucci Mane. And it really does all boil down to you got to read them contracts. You got to look at the label that you're signing to. It's not like when they signed, there wasn't already talk about how Gucci Mane was running his label in the industry. There were already unhappy artists. Everybody knew that. Waka Flocka is a good example. He wanted out of his contract too, way before any of these people were signed to 1017. They signed because of Gucci Mane's credibility in the streets. They signed because of the 1017 name. They wanted to be those people. So they ultimately signed that contract. I also think the contract situation kind of shows that Gucci Mane is great at finding talent, but he's not necessarily great at cultivating that talent once he gets his hands on them. You either blow or you don't, and if you don't, then you get dropped. If you do blow, you end up like Pooh Shiesty, and good luck getting out of your contract without, literally holding somebody up.
So yeah, I would say both parties are kind of wrong in their own way, right? Like if you're not properly reading your contracts, or if you're expecting a quick handout from a rapper, as developed already as Gucci Mane just because you signed to him, then I would say you're naive and you're expecting a little too much. You gotta show and prove. But at the same time, as Gucci Mane, I would say it's damn near irresponsible to be signing, almost a dozen different artists and not have any long-term real career plans for any of them. Almost using them like little pawns, like a game of roulette, right? Like you're just placing your chips on a bunch of different numbers and hoping one of them hits. However, we do have to kind of look at the blueprint that Gucci Mane has been riding off of for ages at this point, right? Damn near every legend within Atlanta was at one point or another either signed to Gucci Mane or heavily affiliated with him, probably using his studios all the time, using his resources when they were on the come up, etc. Everyone from Young Thug, Migos, Future, Rich Homie Quan, Waka Flocka, French Montana, OJ the Juice Man, Pee Wee Longway, Skipper the Flipper. I'm sure I'm forgetting a million other artists, right?
Whoop they do.
If Gucci Mane never adopted that kind of blueprint of, just bringing as much talent into his neck of the woods, into his studio corners as possible, and just kind of throwing darts at a dartboard and whatever hits would hit, then who knows if we'd have a lot of these Atlanta legends, if they'd ever have made it out, right? And the difference is I'm not sure if, Rich Homie Quan, Migos, Young Thug, Future, if they ever actually temporarily were signed under Gucci Mane. I think Young Thug was. I'm not sure about the rest, but
I study
what they do
for a living.
A lot of these guys, again, because of that affiliation, they were able to get on, right? They were able to be connected with producers like Metro and Zaytoven and start going up on their own. So yeah, well, I would say it's kind of irresponsible that Gucci Mane took a lot of these young artists and just kind of promised them the dream, and they were all, happy because they're on the new 1017 record label. But then, he had no real plan to actually develop these artists. It was just like, sink or swim, basically. Like if you fail, you're on your own. But if you pop off, then I'm just going to profit off you, and great, and I'll invest all my resources into you. Yeah, it's irresponsible, but that's the model Gucci Mane has been going off of for his whole career, and it worked for him in the 2010s. Gucci gave us some legends off of this blueprint, so to hate on him for it now, in my opinion, that would be unfair.
The next clip I want to look at is this K Day clip. She's an artist that was also signed to the new 1017. She was also dropped from 1017. And since this whole situation came out, she also went online to talk about the situation and share her thoughts.
I'd be mad too if a motherfucker won't let me out my contract. I'm in a situation right now where I want to hit a Pooh Shiesty on a motherfucker. Y'all painting a picture out to make it seem like everybody just like it's a curse with Gucci. There ain't no curse with Gucci. Everybody chose their own fate when it came to 1017. And I'm speaking for everybody because I don't have nobody here to speak for themselves. And two of my goddamn label mates is gone. Chant gone. Scar gone. I don't even know where the Schoolboy at. Y'all got so many opinions, but y'all don't even know that Fujiano and Pooh Shiesty and Scar was beefing with Gucci the entire time. It was the back and forth of who leaving the label and who want to stay and come back and give me your chain, or no, you can have your chain. Like, it was a lot of that shit going on. Why? It ain't even about reading your contract. It's not about none of that shit. It's not about none of that shit. At the end of the day, everybody wanted respect. That's why Channing left. She didn't like what was going on. There was really no team with 1017 to where we had people that was really there, that was guiding us. It was just like all the calls was coming from everybody that they was putting in charge. And a lot of people that was in charge shouldn't have been in charge over there at Atlantic. And that's the real issue.
Now, one thing I gotta say is during that rant that she just did right there, she said, it ain't about reading the contracts. No, it's definitely about reading the contracts. No doubt about it. But in the clip, I mean, she acknowledges that there was problems on the label. There was already tension on the label and that there was bad blood amongst the people that were signed to the label. You know, she's basically trying to say this ain't a contract issue. It's a relationship issue. Wasn't nobody getting respected. Nobody's art was being respected. And that might be true. But at the end of the day, though, bro, you signed the contract and Gucci Mane don't have to invest a bunch of money into somebody if he ain't getting no return on those artists. The whole idea is to put you on a label so that I can invest in you and then make profit from the art that you make. If I put money into you, give you an advance, you come, you drop music and it don't perform, and I don't put, $100,000 into you, but the music you put out only generated 10, 15, 20,000 in return. Yeah, of course I'm going to put you on the shelf for a little while. And I'm definitely going to put my money towards an artist that is able to make it back, that I'm able to make a profit off of. That's just the way the business works.
Yeah, I agree with KB completely, but one thing that the artist Keisha Bey had said that I think is interesting, and if you guys check out my full breakdown on the Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane beef, link will be in the description, you'll see, these tensions started rising after Big Scar, who was Pooh Shiesty's cousin and who was also another artist on the new 1017 record label that Gucci Mane had started, he sadly passed away a couple years ago. Gucci Mane had given his family $10,000 for the funeral, and they were extremely upset and felt like that wasn't enough money.
The minute that them folk called your phone to see if you were going to pay for the funeral, you blocked them. That's not real, cuz. On God, that's not real. I thought Gucci was rich, too. Ha, fooled all us.
So Keisha Bey saying here that these tensions and these talks of them wanting to leave the label for years now, this was going on for a very long time. That kind of aligns with the fact that, Big Scar's family was really upset with Gucci. There was a whole back and forth even with Gucci's wife about that funeral. So a lot of these issues, people don't know. Do they stem from the passing of Big Scar and Pooh Shiesty feeling like Gucci Mane did his cousin dirty? Does it stem from the fact that, the business was just bad, the contracts were just bad? Again, that does go back to the fact that, you can't get mad at anyone but yourself if your contract was bad, right? If you're about to sign on even a $25,000 advance, right? Go and take a $1,000 or $2,000 out and pay a lawyer to sit down and review those contracts and make sure that those I's are dotted, those T's are crossed, whatever the expression is. Make sure you're in good hands before you actually sign anything. Now, it's interesting because while she does say that issues between Big Scar, Pooh Shiesty, Gucci Mane, these things were going on for years at this point. When Pooh Shiesty got out of jail at first in November of 2025, he was speaking on Gucci Mane, and, it didn't necessarily sound like he had any negative feelings towards him. So you could say he was capping for the cameras, but, listen to what he had to say about Gucci, when he just got out of jail, and then, think about in your mind that he's saying this, and 2 months later, he's robbing him at gunpoint to get out of his contract, right? Just kind of a weird, complete opposite sentiment, basically.
The way Gucci came home and that motivated me too because I took notes from there, how he switched it up, how he toned up, got fit, got his mind healthy, took notes in there every way, so that motivated me to move how I'm moving toward today too. So he showed that it can be done, all you gotta do is want it. Got sobered up, we got a lot of the similar traits because I realized that he woke up when he was in there, you know what I'm saying? He really woke up and he wasn't just in there playing or, not taking it serious. Another thing he told me too was Shiesty, you 20 years old going to go see what I saw at 35 years old. You got a head start as long as you got this out the way first, Fortunately, it had to happen, but it happened, bro. It is what it is, so you got to get this out the way early. It could have been too late for me if I wouldn't ever came out and played it right, so take advantage of that too. That stuck with me.
Now, aside from this, I never thought I'd see the day where Gucci Mane would be clowned to this level. And I'm not in a position to speak on whether he snitched, whether he didn't. To me, the entire situation seems backwards in the sense that I feel like I've seen Gucci Mane get clowned more online than I have Pooh Shiesty for making the decision to go out and do this. But it's not just corners of the internet clowning Gucci, right? This is all across the board. So let's take a look at a couple examples here. First, you had inmates in a prison actually throwing out his book, his autobiography. I'm assuming because they believe he snitched, right? Because in the paperwork of the actual complaint that the government filed against Pooh Shiesty and the 8 other members who were involved in this attack, they say that RD, which is the initials of Roderick Davis, which is Gucci Mane's full name, they say that Roderick Davis had helped identify Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 as being, members of this attack.
Shit crazy, bro. It's Gucci Mane tone! Yeah. In a way. The attack nice, bro. That's what identified them people.
You also had DJ Big Mac's Akademiks, who roasted Gucci Mane for another reason, right? Not that he had snitched per se, but the fact that Gucci Mane had actually had undercover cops with him at the time of this attack that were working as his security guards. Or actually, you guys made fun of me in my last video. It's not undercover cops, it's off-duty police officers, right? So whatever. Anyways, whatever attack happens in the presence of these police officers, they are going to be forced to actually report it if a case gets brought up, right?
Those 3 Big Macs are for me.
So Akademiks is looking at that like it's not snitching, but it's indirect snitching, because you're putting your artists in a position where, if you guys follow street protocol, you can't follow that, because anything that happens, if those guys are around, those security that you have are next to you, they're going to have to tell. Like, they're going to have to report any illegal activity. They're police officers. This is their job, right?
But the idea that some of y'all trying to give Gucci an out is like, nah, it's because it's not like they fooled him and it was an undercover cop. That's what people keep saying. Undercover. No, he hired a policeman. He hired a policeman. It wasn't undercover. It wasn't a guy acting like he was security. No, he hired the cops. And a crime happened in the presence of the cops. So the cops did what the cops do. So as much as you want to call Pooh Shiesty stupid, I would caution, or I would question Gucci to say, why sign street niggas and then bring the cops every time you're talking to them? That don't sound like it works out, does it? If you sign a bunch of street niggas who you know how they get down, why would you bring them to every time you talk to them, the cops is there, unless you plan to make sure they don't ever commit crime, and if they do, they get locked the fuck up. So the idea that Gucci is not part of this or didn't tell is like, it's ludicrous. You can't spin it. So you can't spin it. I mean, it's better if y'all use this whole, he's a clone shit. Okay, fine, he's a clone, right? But I want to remind y'all, the cop wasn't in the room.
Now, the king of ratting, 6ix9ine, he just got released from prison, ironically, I believe yesterday or today, and he just did his first live stream since being a free man, and he was discussing the situation, also saying that Gucci Mane is a rat.
I wanted to
now,
touch
God
on that.
Forgive me. Let's talk about this snitch ass nigga Gucci Mane.
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
God damn it, bro! Holy shit!
Yo,
wait,
no, but no, seriously.
God, dude, no.
Yo, W's in the chat if you guys want to talk about that shit.
6ix9ine also said that the feds in this case will end up subpoenaing Gucci Mane because, of course, again, he's a victim in the case and a key witness because he has to confirm or deny that this attack was actually carried out on him. The current report is that the feds didn't actually have any video surveillance or physical evidence of Big 30 or Pooh Shiesty's father committing any crimes, aka like, holding up a gun at anyone, giving out any threats or anything. So they had no actual physical evidence. They just had probable cause. So likely in that situation, there will have to be witnesses who get called to the stand to recount their side of the story, especially the victims. And of course, Gucci is victim number one here.
Now, let me break down this Gucci Mane stuff, right? Gucci Mane, whether he's telling or his cameraman is telling, right? Mm-hmm. You know what the feds do? What? They're going to subpoena Gucci Mane, whether his name is what? Something Davis, right? Yes. I'm breaking it down for you. Okay. Once the feds subpoena you, you have to
tell.
You have to. If not, you go to jail for obstruction of justice.
So he'll go to jail if he doesn't tell.
So they're gonna tell. Yeah.
He has to.
So you have to. It's a subpoena by the federal government. I'm breaking this down for you. I know some people who hate it, they're just like, no, fuck, don't believe in no. Oh my God. But bro, this is literally how the feds work. Yeah. It's not regular old person that lives in a fucking, it's literally the United States of America.
You also had Charleston White and 50 Cent both kind of imply that Gucci Mane is a snitch for this entire situation. I mean, again, you guys can see the paperwork flat out for yourselves, but take a look at what they had to say.
What him saying mean is a motherfucker. Take it to daddy too. God damn. Shit. If there's any other time to think about telling, this is it right here. You talking about the kind of, you federal charges for federal kidnapping? Oh my goodness, up to a life sentence. Oh man, whoever these FBI agents is here, they finna get a promotion. They fuck around being in the lineup to be the FBI director one day for bringing down Shiesty. It sounds like Gucci cooperated. It sounds like the victim. Gucci was a victim and gave his testimony. Come on over here with me, Gucci. It's all right. It's all right to go and be civilian. Yeah, come on. Yeah, this ain't, come on over here with me, Gucci. Press charges on their ass to the full extent of the law.
Now, speaking of snitching, 50 Cent is trying to allude that somebody told, and that somebody might be Gucci. He posted this video of the press conference saying who the fuck is telling. Then he posted this video of Bubba Dub claiming that Gucci Mane told.
Gucci Mane got robbed and didn't tell nobody but the law. I told y'all, man, people who are paying goddamn taxes and law-abiding citizens, man, ain't nobody trying to hear that shit. Pooh Shiesty, Big 30, come on. That shit dead. Robbing people, trying to goddamn extort. That shit dead.
If anybody's wondering, there's been documents out there from the actual files claiming that Gucci Mane not only identified what Pooh Shiesty was wearing, but Gucci Mane also identified Big 30 to the feds. Now, Wack 100 also came out and chimed in. He said, stop assuming about Gucci and talk about what's really on the paperwork. Pooh Shiesty's daddy been a rat since 2009 and his son a mice since 2022.
Now, someone who I think gave a little bit more of a productive kind of response or reaction to this entire thing is Rick Ross. So, if you guys didn't know, Rick Ross obviously has his record label MMG, which signed some massive rappers back in the day, Wale, Meek Mill, etc. He's actually been going through his fair share of issues with Gunplay, another really dope rapper who was signed to him, who I don't feel like ever got his just due. And I have a whole video breaking down their issues on my page too. You guys can check that out. But Rick Ross was very vocal, if you guys don't remember, when Lil Wayne was going through his contract issues with Cash Money. He made a whole song kind of crapping on Birdman, defending Lil Wayne, you know, saying how when an artist brings you all this to the game, like to do them like this in terms of money is insane. And he was exposing Birdman, you know, for being shady with DJ Khaled as well, etc. So Ross, you know, claims or portrays himself to be a big advocate towards helping artists, especially after he has that long history of running a rapper-owned record label. So his perspective on this type of situation is interesting because not only is he a friend to Gucci, but he's also been running his own record label, a successful one at that, simultaneous at the same time as Gucci was running his.
For everybody in my DM, Rose, what you think, how you feel about the Guwap Pooh Shiesty situation? I don't like it for either side. You know what I'm talking about? Guwap most definitely didn't deserve that, and I don't want to see this for the little homie Pooh Shiesty, but this one niggas got to be educated and understand. In business, you got to negotiate, my nigga. You got to negotiate. If you were signed for 100K and now you got 10 M's on the table, it's time to negotiate. This how we do this. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody win. Let's go. That's how I got to go, my nigga. You can't muscle your way out of no shit in no business. It don't go that way. And I ain't just talking about on the people side, but on the other side, the blitz gonna come. You can't run from it, homie. That's the way it goes. Negotiate. It's time to educate. I want to see young hustlers from the South win. I want to see it. That was the time I got Gotti and Guwap on the phone together. Us three on the phone, nigga. And it ain't nothing to discuss. It was no disrespect. It was no raised voices. Rose just wanted to plant that seed. And I understand one phone call may not fix all the situations, but you want to plant that seed where niggas may be able to move forward one day, get some paper one day. The CMG 1017 tour one day, that was Rose mindset. And I wish nothing but my homies the best. When it come to business, let's negotiate. Niggas can't take the streets to the do. Nigga gonna get a life sentence with that shit, bullshit, nigga. Let's get to the B's.
Now, aside from this, Gucci Mane is really in a lose-lose situation with this entire thing, and I'll explain why. I'll let Poetic Flocka help me out as well. He did a video breaking this down, so we're gonna react to it because essentially, again, like I mentioned before, the FBI had claims that they don't have physical evidence that actually ties Big 30 or Pooh Shiesty's father to holding any firearms at anyone or making any threats, right? And without video surveillance, they're going to need those witness testimonies more than ever to actually build their case. Right now, they're running on probable cause, probably off the idea that, hey, you know, like we see security camera footage of Pooh Shiesty or his father walking into the studio, but there's no actual footage of them holding guns at Gucci Mane or any of his associates, right? The feds also had, you know, the intel from Gucci Mane and his associates that they clearly identified who Pooh Shiesty was, who Big Scar was, etc. What they don't have is that concrete proof. They're going to need witnesses to recount this story if they wanted to actually have validity to it, and that's where Gucci Mane kind of gets backed into a corner.
Before the new update on this Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Mane situation, it was already bad for Gucci Mane. But it just got worse. And Gucci Mane is now in a situation that I don't think really gonna end well for Gucci. It's a lose-lose either way.
We've been able to obtain video which shows the FBI at Pooh Shiesty's home the day he was arrested. Take a look at that video. This happened in Memphis. Federal authorities say Shiesty was the ringleader behind the attack on Gucci Mane here in Dallas. That incident happened back in January at a music studio located off Dallas Parkway. The DOJ says Gucci Mane and 2 others were allegedly kidnapped and robbed at gunpoint. They say 9 people were involved, including Pooh Shiesty's father and Big 30. For background, Pooh Shiesty signed on to Gucci Mane's record label back in 2020. And according to the DOJ, Pooh Shiesty is the one who set up the meeting to discuss his recording contract.
We knew from the very beginning of this indictment that Gucci Mane was snitching and working with them folks, and that Gucci Mane identified Pooh Shiesty and snitched on Pooh Shiesty. Now, Pooh Shiesty robbed Gucci Mane and an off-duty officer and a bunch of white folks who are rich while he was on an ankle monitor. So Pooh Shiesty did himself a disservice. But the thing with snitching, there ain't no halfway snitching or halfway telling, especially in this situation. You see, Gucci Mane did what he did by identifying Pooh Shiesty to the police officers and to the feds and getting Pooh Shiesty this indictment. But after the update we just got, after it was announced, the feds don't really got too much on Pooh Shiesty, his daddy, or Big 30. They don't really got that much on them. And they admitted that. They are relying heavily on witnessed account of things. They're relying heavily on people who were present to tell and snitch on Pooh Shiesty. That means that Gucci Mane got to take this stand or risk Pooh Shiesty walking.
New development tonight in the arrest of Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty. He and 8 others are charged with kidnapping rapper Gucci Mane. Shiesty's father, Lontrell Williams Sr., and another Memphis rapper known as Big 30 appeared in federal court today. Action News 5's Caitlin Miller was in the courtroom in downtown Memphis. So Caitlin, fill us in. What happened today?
Yeah, Joyce, so they're actually still in there, but what I can tell you is that a special agent from the FBI, Marcellus Hobbs, from the Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force, took the stand, and defense attorneys for Lontrell Williams Sr., Pooh Shiesty's father, and Rodney Wright Jr., also known as rapper Big 30, asked Hobbs a key question. Is there any hard evidence, like video surveillance, showing either man possessing a gun or threatening anyone? And Hobbs said no. He also testified that no concrete evidence was found in Wright's car or Williams' homes when they were arrested. But even so, the judge ruled there is still probable cause for both men and all defendants who appear today based on cell phone data, outside surveillance video, and victim statements that stand uncontested. Right now, we're still waiting for the detention decision, so we're watching to see whether they'll be held or released as we move forward.
So yeah, as you can see here, right, Gucci's in a rock and a hard place, right? Because also at the same time, if he really did sign these papers to release Pooh Shiesty out of his contract, even if it was under duress, I believe, and I could be wrong, that he would have to go and admit that, hey, I signed these contracts under duress, right? Like I was being threatened at gunpoint to sign this thing, so it should be null and void. And if not, then wouldn't these contracts be valid, right? Like if Gucci Mane never admitted, like, hey, Pooh Shiesty had me at gunpoint when I signed this, then wouldn't Pooh Shiesty technically be able to still walk away a free man if Gucci Mane never spoke up? And if he does speak up, then yeah, he's labeled a snitch, right? Again, that's not something for me to, give my opinion on.
Gucci Mane is in a lose-lose situation. He already identified Pooh Shiesty on paperwork. His reputation is already dirt. However, there is a drastic difference between identifying somebody in paperwork and maybe you could talk your way out of that and taking a stand, pointing at them and snitching on camera for everybody to see. You can never come back from that. Well, if these folks are admitting we don't got much on these people, we don't got much physical evidence on them, what we do have, though, is witness account of things, witness statements, people who are going to take the stand and testify. If Gucci Mane doesn't testify, because Gucci Mane was the one who was in the room with Pooh Shiesty when he got robbed, he was the only one there. So if Gucci Mane doesn't take that stand and doesn't testify on Pooh Shiesty, well, Pooh Shiesty could walk. And if Pooh Shiesty walks or get found not guilty, well, Pooh Shiesty is coming home as an absolute living legend because the streets know Pooh Shiesty did it. Gucci Mane, one, you told for no reason initially because your name is in that paperwork, so now people is looking at you as a snitch, and the person you told don't got no consequences and they free. And that may have implications, because if you don't take the stand, well, guess what? You're telling them folks that you signed that contract under duress. The contract released for Pooh Shiesty, Gucci saying, I signed that under duress. Well, if you don't take the stand and you don't cooperate any longer, well, Pooh Shiesty got you on camera signing that contract. He can say, I didn't do that under duress. Like, I didn't put, put no gun in Gucci Mane's head and made him release me from my contract. He lying. I went to court, federal court, and got found out not guilty of this. Now, Gucci Mane risks Pooh Shiesty walking free from the contract, beating the Fed case, becoming the biggest rapper on the planet, and Gucci Mane gets nothing. But if Gucci Mane do go to court and take that stand, well, guess what? Now Gucci Mane's reputation is done forever. Gucci Mane can never show his face again in hip-hop. Gucci Mane is now a pariah and is now ostracized from hip-hop forever.
See, like I said before, I can't really speak on the morality behind being a snitch or not being a snitch, right? But I could offer an opinion just based off what we've seen in history on what happens when a rapper, either comes out of prison or whatever the case is and is deemed a snitch, right? We've seen that with 6ix9ine, we've seen that with Gunna, and the examples are clear as day. As long as the music is good, as long as the output is good, and you don't come out like an obnoxious freak, you'll be more than welcomed in to still have a career within hip-hop, within music, within entertainment in general. Even 6ix9ine has a career, and I was kind of using him as the example to say he came out acting like a freak, and that's why his music wasn't really hitting when he got out of jail, because he was still talking about, robbing people and killing people in the music, but it's like, but you just took down a whole gang in court, right? So obviously this music is complete cap, and then you're, on Instagram Live, putting rat emojis over your face and dancing in handcuffs and stuff like that. Like just taunting, the people you actually got incarcerated. So you damn near made yourself a pariah. You made yourself unlikable, right? Meanwhile, Gunna, he just kept his head down. He dropped good music. Even if people were saying he was a snitch, he overcame that he dropped one song kind of explaining the situation, saying that the lawyer screwed him over and got him in a bad deal, made him, get into a deal that he didn't realize what the implications were, that he would have to go and actually, yes, ma'am, his way out of prison. But he made that one song, and then the rest of it was just him dropping amazing music, which proves that, if Gucci Mane gets on that stand and fights for his right to still have the rights of Pooh Shiesty's music, right? Because that was his artist, and admits that this was under duress and that this whole thing happened. Yeah, he might look crazy to some people, but at the same time, Gucci, like I mentioned before, is approaching 50 if he's not already. He's in the later stage of his career. He's married. I believe he's got kids. He's got, this record label that he owns Pooh Shiesty's music on. There will still be artists in the future who will want to sign to Gucci. I think he'd be more than fine in 2026 with that type of stain on his jacket, right? If you want to call that a stain. We've seen it with Gunna, we see it with 6ix9ine, we've seen it with other artists in the past. I don't think it's as relevant as people like to make it seem. Again, I can't speak on the morality behind it. If you grew up in that lifestyle and you perceive snitching in a certain way and wrong or right, that's not for me to speak on, right? As a dude from Canada here. But from a business perspective and kind of so-called labeled snitch, be successful in the entertainment industry, I personally, based off history that I've seen, think 100% he'd be more than fine regardless.
Chat, is Gucci's career done? Gucci's a victim of a kidnapping. According to this federal agent, Gucci helped them identify the culprits. I think Gucci should get a pass. He's from Atlanta. For an Atlanta rapper not to tell, that'll be breaking news. Yo, chat, it's going to be viral the day an Atlanta rapper be like, yo, breaking news, this Atlanta rapper, with all the reasons to tell, didn't tell. Who cares? And is Gucci a street guy anymore? This is regular Atlanta business right here. But I got to be honest with you, Shiesty's fried.
In this situation, I'm okay with whatever Gucci does. Yeah. I'm okay if he went in there and said, them niggas robbed me. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that because, like I tell people all the time, Gucci, we get out of the street game and get in the rap game so that the rules do not apply to us. Now, For the people that said, "Oh man, Gucci snitch, man, he need to keep it to the streets and this and that right there." Well, it's not streets. When you're dealing with Atlantic Records or these big old record companies, these are banks. Yeah. When they go give you money.
We've never been at a more important place in the culture than this moment right here. I would say 2024 was the last time we were at this point in the culture. But what happened? In 2024, we were at a point in the culture where I feel like the general consensus in the culture was the streets gotta go, the streets are stupid. And then coincidentally, conveniently, Kendrick Lamar drops a record where he's crip walking, he's blood walking, and now crip walking and blood walking and gangbanging is cool again. Right on time, right on cue. When we were getting ready to make that pivot, Kendrick Lamar made gangbanging cool.
Huh? Kendrick Lamar made gangbanging cool.
Now, we're far removed from that, from that era. Now we're at the pivotal point again where, okay, it's time to make a decision. Is snitching cool or is snitching not cool? I feel like if Gucci Mane goes to that courthouse, take that stand, and comes out and survives that stand, and survives taking a stand against Pooh Shiesty, and nobody cares, and nobody treats Gucci Mane differently, and Gucci Mane still gets to come out here, tour, make music, drop hits, and he still gets to move around the industry freely, that'll be the death of anti-snitching. That'll be the death of it. If Gucci Mane does that, come out, and he's still allowed to operate in the industry and move around freely and do what he got to do, and he still got fans and he's still moving, because we've never seen this before.
Nah, that has me laughing, yo. Drake fans are crazy. Drake fans will spin any kind of narrative, man. Like, we're not going to make this about the Drake and Kendrick thing, because Lord knows we spoke about that way too much on the channel. However, to say that Kendrick Lamar, who was the one who brought gangbanging back in 2024 when we were tired of gangbanging in hip-hop, Kendrick Lamar brought it back. Of all artists, of all figures in hip-hop, Kendrick Lamar brought it back, right? I mean, Poetic Flocka, correct me if I'm wrong, he used to work for No Jumper, right? And by the way, I have nothing against him. I like his content. This is just funny to me. But, like, you work for No Jumper. Obviously, at No Jumper, like, their main source of content is criminal activity, gang violence, talking about that stuff, propping it up to an extent, some would argue. That's the bread and butter over there. And you're saying that, that was all dead in 2024 and it was Kendrick Lamar that revived it? It wasn't platforms like No Jumper or Traplo Ross or whoever else? I don't know about Kendrick Lamar making gangbanging music. But anyways, he's kind of comparing, I guess, like whatever Kendrick Lamar did with the rap beef, and apparently that brought like street music and street violence back to the forefront of hip hop. Apparently that we're in a pivotal time like that right now where it's like, if the culture embraces Gucci, if he snitches, like, does that kind of mean hip hop is headed in a different direction in terms of what it values from its artists? Like how real you have to be and authentic to the bars that you actually deliver to the world in your raps, right? Like how much of that do you really have to live? Or can you go on and break these street codes and snitch and whatever the case is? Again, not for me to answer. But it is interesting to think like where the outcome of this case will go, right? Like this is going to be a monstrous case to follow. And as far as the most recent update we have on it, Pooh Shiesty's dad had actually been released on bail. Pooh Shiesty is still incarcerated, but his dad is now a free man.
Darcy, is actually still going on, heading into hour 4 at this point. But we were able to get a bond assigned for Lontrell Williams Sr., the father of Pooh Shiesty. The judge ultimately decided she's going to assign him a home incarceration, which she says is the strictest bond she can assign outside of giving him or granting him into federal custody. She said the only time he is allowed to leave his home is to attend his court dates in Dallas, where this case will ultimately be tried. And she said he'll be under electronic monitoring while this all plays out.
Now, it's crazy to me that Pooh Shiesty's father was locked up on this in the first place, right? Not that, he didn't deserve to be if he was actually part of this crime, but more so the fact that how could he have been a part of this crime to begin with, right? This is your son you're talking about, and apparently he was actually Pooh Shiesty's manager as well. He had a hand in, getting this whole thing to the finish line. Like, he was telling Gucci Mane, like, hey, you got to sign the date on this release contract, buddy. Like, Pooh Shiesty's dad was allegedly there helping out, doing all this, right? So it's just crazy to think that, like, this system or cycle that Pooh Shiesty was locked into, to the point where, like, he was just in jail and then he got out, and then a couple months later he commits something like this, and his own father is there not just letting it happen, but enabling it and helping out in the execution of it. It's scary, it's sad, and above all else, it's just depressing to think that Pooh Shiesty is now, you know, one artist on a laundry list of rappers of this generation that had such immense potential to just be controlling the world with their music, right? Doing positive for the next generation. From Lil Durk to King Von to Pop Smoke, Juice WRLD, XXX, and a lot more I'm probably forgetting. A lot of these artists lose the ability to end up really making a positive impact based on a really small, easily avoidable situation. I shouldn't say a small situation, right? Like robbing Gucci Mane at gunpoint is not small, but a very easily avoidable situation, right? And it makes you think, where would this generation of hip hop be if a lot of these really depressing and dark circumstances didn't occur with hip hop's most promising rising acts all throughout the 2020s? I don't have an answer to it, but let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you in the next one.
I study rap for a living.